what about Russia? How would Russia see this? I mean, Putin will see this as his victory?
I think so. But he's clever. So he's not going to tom-tom his victory. But I think net, Russia has come out quite well. But there's always a second side to the answer. That is that in some ways Russia was in a hole, isolated, made a pariah state, etc. So that was not a good situation. But on certain aspects, of course, like on the battlefield, like the disarray within the European Union, like the rupture in the transatlantic alliance. Who ever imagined that the alliance would turn on its head and be at each other's throats, in a sense? So all these things are, in a sense, good strategically for Putin and for Russia. But yes, he also is feeling the pinch. I mean, to be completely ostracized. Now, if the prospect is of lifting sanctions, rehabilitating him, bringing him back into the fold, these are good. He needs all this. And I think he also understands that if he doesn't do it now, it may never happen.
That's right.
So for
it's
him,
a pivotal moment for him also.
For him and for the country, for Russia. Country. So, but net, I think he's done pretty well. I mean,
so would he also look at it from this point of view that if he comes out of this war, at least a perceived victor, and then the people, of course, will see him as somebody who got them through the war, at least on the victorious side, if nothing else. Does he then get a chance to also come out of the shadows of China? Because that could be Trump's other hidden aim.
I would say yes, clearly. I think the issue here is not the complexity of the negotiation on the Ukraine front in terms of how much territory, how many hundreds of square kilometers, or the security guarantees. The grand bargain which Trump is trying to achieve through all of this is to change Russia's geostrategic behavior. And I think he understood that the Biden administration and the Democrats and the Europeans collectively had basically done many things, but most importantly pushed Russia into the Chinese fold, and they had left him with no choice. I think the big game out here which Trump is trying to play is what you said, to try and
wean away.
Wean away is a word to use. We could use different words, different expressions, but the idea was not to take the Russia-China relationship as a unbreakable or undisputable fact of life. This is typical Trump. He wants to address the big problem. He wants to get in where no one else wants to get in.
Right.
And the more complex the problem, the greater he enjoys
it. And the simplicity of his solutions.
And the simplicity.
Because he knew that what Putin wanted basically is that Ukraine shouldn't join NATO, and the NATO forces shouldn't be on the Ukraine soil, as well as he wanted the war stopped. Because
see, on the NATO-Ukraine relationship, I have been in also a lot of contact with various Europeans.
Right.
There was never any proposition or proposal for Ukraine to join NATO. I don't think that was on the cards. It was on the media hype and all that. But in reality, I don't think it really was there. So the question remained of whether it should be part of the European Union. And of course, now we are talking about the nature of the security guarantees. So, I think Putin also knew that Ukraine joining NATO was not really the issue. I think, as people say, the war was not a war for territory. This was a war for much larger arrangements, globally speaking, geopolitical, geostrategic, for the balance of power. And that's the way we should actually see the war. And I think Trump seems to have understood this.
That's
right. The remarkable statements from from American negotiators when they were asked about territory and the binary, will he give up the territory, will Ukraine lose 20%, etc. They brushed it all aside.
Yes.
It's quite incredible because I think they're
very, very blunt also on that Ukraine is not going to win. Europeans are not going to help them win. So it's better to stop where they are right now. It's what.
Well, I mean, they are pretty clear. What people used to say, but now the Americans themselves are coming out openly and saying
it was not a winnable war.
This business that we will fight to the last Ukrainian. which was the kind of the accepted politically correct statement to make. Now the Americans are saying, and every objective or observer is saying that a collapse of the Ukrainian forces on the battlefield is imminent. So everyone's approaching this with a view as to who is the losing side, who is the winning side. I think, you know, when the Russians and the American negotiators sat in Riyadh, it was a different ball game. I mean, I think they had already decided that this is going to be lead to success.
Right.
So that's the way I would see it.